Hey guys, we're with Frost and Shaggy right here. We're going to talk about the season, how the things go, what go well, what maybe can be improved, since I don't think AC can improve something since they win the season. My first questions, guys, is from where the name AC is coming?
It's actually a pretty funny story. Well, it's not that funny, but it's an interesting story. So in season one, we were called Angels of Darkness, like initially, and then if you remember, like before the alliance capacity was not 200 from the very beginning, so you had to make like multiple alliances to fit everyone in the very early seasons. And we made like 4 alliances, and one of them was Angels of Chaos, and then we named the other ones. I forgot what we named the other ones. And we basically we had a very good idea in season 1 plus to hot drop in the same starting zone as EIS. That didn't really work in our favor. We kind of knew we would lose, but it was still a lot of fun. But the alliance the one alliance that survived was the Angels of Chaos alliance, and we just kept that name all along because we liked it, and it kind of fits our theme.
Because the main theme of your alliance, from what I see, is minions. So Angel of Chaos and minions. How the minions come?
It just basically happened. We didn't plan this. We had one guy in our alliance, Wyborg. He's always had a minion picture, and at some point someone else created one as well, and then it was like a you kind of got peer pressured into making a
Yeah,
minion picture for yourself. Yeah,
the cult just sprung out of nowhere, and then Calvo added a Lincoln announcement to Copilot, and people started making them with the AI, and now everyone has a minion picture.
Maybe, yeah, I was thinking most of the lances are doing some kind of vote or something like this. But yeah, it happened naturally with you guys. That's very cool. My other question is how your previous season go, with who you fight.
I mean, I already kind of started talking about season 1 plus, so I guess that's the one where I start with. We hot dropped on EIS, we lost, we researched to a different starting zone, and we allied up with server 69 at the time. We basically had a 2v2, us and 69 against EIS, who were in 68 at the time, and then EXG. And we ended up losing the season, but we fought to the last, very last day, and had a lot of
It
fun.
was 3 days before there was when the fighting finally stopped, and everyone was starting to all our people left to EIS.
Yeah, we lost a lot of people to EIS. They recruited a lot, and then we decided to join forces with 69 together. So we migrated into their server. We're gonna do the season 2 together. We were pretty strong. We were pretty big. We made an ally, and we basically had like a friendly fight with them. And we were like, it was better on map. Everything was gearing up for a really good last zone fight. And then our enemies just didn't really, like, on paper they were really strong, but they had some issues where it was just not really a good fight, so we just won the season kind of for free, someone could say. And at that point, we kind of realized that being in this group that we were with, it was not really what we wanted to be playing with longer. And then we kind of took, like, I don't even know, we were like 100 people. We took them out, and we reformed, and we reopened AC basically after season 2. And then we were like a small group. And then season 2 plus happened. Shaggy, your turn.
It was a very fun time, because after that we just started playing the way that we wanted, which is pursue any fight. We don't ally right away. No big alliances, because that's boring. If the season's already decided when the zone before zones open, it's better to fight and make friends that way. We ended up fighting RKO and BGA, allied with NXS in season 2 plus, and then ended up facing GD, which is we in the same season as now.
I hear from the previous season that Asons was a bigger alliance there.
Oh yeah, last season, yeah.
Yeah.
There was Ancients and Pay to Win with us. It was there was really only 3 big teams, and then there was Block and SK, but they were not that big. So there was like just 3 big teams last season, and Ancients and Pay to Win basically. Ancients, they fought really well. Like, they fought really well, and
Yeah,
it
was a
actually
really
pretty
good
hard.
fight. A really good fight. Really good season.
Yeah, it was a really good
Good
season.
fighters over there.
But we ended up winning the 2v2, but it was a really, really good season. Like, Ancients, they really fought extremely well. That really impressed me.
Okay, let's talk about our season, where there is basically, I'm going to say it like 4 big alliances: LB, ASIN, ACDC, Geos, that something couple alliances do that together there, and VP22 in combination with the DAO. So, what's your opinion about the season? How do things go for AC at the beginning? How you decide to land at the zone you landed?
For Balaron, we've always had the goal in mind to always go into like either what is it called, Orion or Enogat.
Enogad or Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh,
those
yeah.
zones obviously have access to two zone 2 each, while the other ones only have one, so there's more options there. And when the matchmaking was announced, we like scanned the server and looked what alliances are, how strong, and we just have like, I think we have more than half the T5s in the whole division, and we're like quite a lot bigger than the second rank. So we just decided we can just pretty much pick and choose because there's nobody that can contend. Like, there's no contention for our zone. Anyone that comes will probably lose in a 1v1. So we just chose one of the zones that have like access to two zone 2s.
I want to ask also for Gios, since the Gios was your main opponent on your side. What was your feeling, guys, when you first meet Gios in the after gate 1? How do you
Like
feel
in
the
the-
alliance? Is there strong?
They've put up a good fight in like the first statues, and then they put up a good fight in the beginning of Zone 2. But then after the weekend, it was we just overtook them.
Okay, so impression, they're very active.
They were active at first, yeah, and then slowly towards Zone 3, they started to lose activity.
What was your opinion on the other side? Basically, since the map is split on two pieces, the left and the right side, what was your impressions over the right side? Where was the LM, also the VP?
I mean, I didn't really spectate much on the right side. I mean, VP obviously had the middle zone, so they could bounce back and forth. They could choose who they're fighting. I believe they ended up fighting KPT the most because LM is stronger than them, so they kind of lost that fight, so they started fighting KPT. But I've not been spectating many of their battles, so I cannot say how actively all of them fought. I think judging by the stats of the individual players, there's been some good PvP on that side as well from both sides.
So you already said that AC is not looking fast for unions at the beginning. How the union with the VP was created?
When we went into the season and we looked at the data, we had a town hall or like an open mic, whatever, with all our people in the voice chat, and we discussed our options for how we can play the season, and we laid out the data to them, and we kind of like talked to them. And at the very beginning of the season, everyone was kind of like looking that we can probably play alone against the whole server because we have so many of the T5 players, and we're like quite a bit stronger than all the enemy alliances. And then we started fighting in Zone 2 against Gias, and that was kind of, it was pretty hard for a few days because they had like a really good uptime while we were sleeping, and it was kind of exhausting. A lot of people played like many hours a day, resource healing. Like, it was a pretty hard fight, and I think there was a wake up call for many people that this season might not be that easy if we play alone. So at that point, we had another town hall with everyone, and we discussed, and we had a vote at the end, and like the majority voted that we should pick at least one ally and just play 2v6 the whole season long. And that's how we ended up allying with VP, who was the weakest actual the weakest competitive alliance on the server. Basically, LM is stronger than VP, and then Geos is a bit stronger than LM. So we kind of picked the smallest one, which was VP at that time, and we allied with them.
Okay, fair to make the things interesting. Absolutely fair. Is there some deals when you make the alliance with the VP about reward splitting, or I don't know what was the union, the condition?
Yeah, they get some dragon spots. That's really all it is. That's really all that you can really give people in the game.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's worth noting that both sides, kind of when we were talking, there was not really like rewards were never like the
Center point.
the focus point of the discussion. It was always more like creating a even fight, like a good fun fight. That was more like the goal that when we were discussing with them. Like, neither side really cared about the rewards that much. That was not a priority.
Okay, absolutely fair. Normally, as like Shaggy said, you can offer just the dragon spots in general, not much else. Okay, zone 2, gate 2 open. What happened there?
The fight in Zone 2 was pretty intense. We were kind of a lot of people were really itching for a fight, and we had when the gates opened, we had our uptime, and then their uptime came later. So in our uptime, we kind of started diving their spires for fun, like just walking over there and just killing them for fun, which maybe like if you look at it in hindsight, kind of backfired because a lot of us were hospitalized when we then touched territories, and it was their uptime. So we had a really rough time overnight. Like the first few night shifts, while they had a lot of activity and we did not really have activity, were kind of hard. But then I think we just like outlasted them. We just fought longer, and we had more healing, more active players with more healing, and we just overtook them at some point.
Do you think you'll lose activity there after zone 2, after you take the Thunder Rock? Do you think something shift there, something change?
Well, I think that normally is always going to happen. Whenever like you lose an objective, people lose motivation to play because they think the season's over right then and there. But I don't really. We don't try to operate like that. We lose, we'll come back the next day or two.
I mean, the thing that I also think with Balaron is, and the way that our like starting zones were laid out, they were kind of losing zone 2, and their players like I kind of understand what their players were thinking, because zone 3 is not gonna look any different. It's the same, like the exact same opponents. They would need to play strategically better or more active, and if you are like if you just lost, I feel like that it's very easy to go the next zone just won't look any different, to have that thought in your mind, which I kind of don't agree with, because there's always something you can do strategically to like outplay your opponents. I mean, they were not like they outpowered us basically. They had more players, they had more power than us. But after losing, I see how that can be demotivating for some people.
I think maybe close to the same actually happened as you say in the zone 3. But the difference between our zone 3 and your zone 3, there was a lot of fight in the guilds. There was basically fighting there. I didn't saw that they lose that much.
They fought strong in
Yeah.
zone 3 as well.
It was a good fight that we had in zone 3.
They had a little oopsies at this pass where they couldn't build both of them. Their union kicked in too early, so they had to cancel it, and they were kind of delayed on the pass, like building wise. I think there was like kind of something that put them like set them back at the very start of the season. But overall, they have very active and committed players, and they are like really active. Like whenever we fought, we were always like asking, how do they have like so many people on the field? It's crazy. They have some actual like very formidable fighters.
Yep, some of the players from their players are in the top of the merits and 40 points. So yeah, definitely we can see they have strong fighters there. I want to ask, is there was a plan to let Gios in the zone 4, or you decide just okay, let's take them out from the zone?
Our like strategically for us, because when we were planning out our territory plan in zone 3, we were still like really hard fighting against Geos. And we were thinking like, against this amount of people in one front, we can win, but it's hard. Like we need to actually fight really well and like play a lot to win against this amount of people on the same front. And we kind of thought that if to all the numbers that Geos has right now, you put LM, LB, and KPT next to them, like on the same front, we have no chance of beating this big blob of people at the same time. So strategically, we thought it's better to separate those two fronts so we can ignore one for a few hours to get some time while they are burning towers up to like a choke point or a spire or something where we can better defend than an open field. So we can like bounce back and forth between the fronts. That's kind of the reason, like strategically, why we pushed them to their gate and then entered like into the Dragon Zone alone.
Absolutely normal decision if you ask me. But did you get surprised at how the basically Gios stop at some moment to progress in your? At some point, I stopped seeing any kind of attacks. Maybe a couple players with 4 or 5 legions was fighting here and there, but the things at some point stopped. Did this surprise you?
I think it's more or less that whenever there is anyone trying to push or anything, a lot of people jump online, and it gets boring after a while when no one's pushing. So it does surprise everyone when we have like big fights and then there's no fighting the next day.
I mean, I think for Geos, kind of the zone was kind of over when they lost their last Spire. Because like as I said earlier, if you keep losing against the same opponents and there's no like strategic objective that you can play around, like a really good spire defense or like some kind of flank angle or something, then you're just there's nothing much you can do. And them being a fresh alliance that was like forged at the start of the season, like they were a 4-way merge of the 4 different servers. There's not much like they've not been playing together for seasons on end, so they're not like a very like
they're all fresh to each other. Maybe
Yeah.
some people may know each other from previous seasons, but in general, the leadership and the players just met each other this season, and they have to work together for the whole season.
Okay, this is basically what happened also with the LM. Just to mention that we're from 4 different servers, just gathered together, playing together. So zone 4. Why did DC go for LM Spire level 4? Because they see we didn't build much there. What was the idea behind?
The idea why DC pushed the Spire?
Yeah, why didn't go directly for the dragon, but they decide to go for the spire?
I mean, going directly for the dragon doesn't make sense as long as you don't have the zone secured. Like, securing the spires is of higher priority than securing the dragon, because if you have all the spires and they can't even enter the zone, and then you can build to the dragon later. Like, clearing the zone and clearing the enemies out is like a higher priority than touching the dragon. You don't get anything from touching the dragon while it's not open. And since you guys were out of resources, you were not like close to the dragon. There was no fight on the dragon. It was all around your spires. So we thought like they can just straight up build to the spire, get there quicker, and then they can like once the fighting is over, they can still build to dragon.
Since we are entering in the zone 4, the first impression from KPT, LM, what was they? What did you see there? Are they going to make it? Did you see some problems?
KPT got pretty close. They were like 2 or 3 towers away from getting to the dragon plateau and touching dragon. But they also the LM was our main focus because they're the bigger alliance, so we wanted to try to get them pushed out first before we would go after KPT. But it was just all anyone could do was just build defense and wait for the ACDC to go.
If you can go back in the time, is there something that you want to change?
There's one thing, like, when we were fighting Gears and it was really hard and we decided to ally VP, at that point we were thinking that the season is going to be really tough. But then Gears, as we talked about earlier, they kind of lost motivation, they lost activity. And when we entered in the Dragon Zone, then LM didn't have resources to like really quickly build. So most of the like objectives that would be hard for us to get kind of didn't even happen because the enemy was, or like LM and also GS, they were like not there, they were not fighting, we were just freely pushing most of the time. And in hindsight, which we couldn't have known back then, because back then it was really tough and it was probably the right decision to do this. But in hindsight, I think we could have probably played the season alone and do like have VP and LM enter the Dragon Zone if we knew that Geos would lose activity like this. But we obviously couldn't know at that time. So, and once we pick an ally, we're not going to tell them, hey, we don't need you, or we don't want you guys anymore. It's not that's not something we can do. But in hindsight, I think we could have had more fun in this season if it was like if the whole right side played together. But that it didn't play out that way. So this is also good.
Yeah, I think I said in one of my videos that I don't think you guys are going to pick an alliance if you was knowing that the Juice is not going to proceed further with the fights. What do you think about the LM? Their strong and weak side, leadership, general. What's your opinion about this alliance?
Nothing really. We just played the season with them. They didn't really show up for the Zone 4 fight that we would expect. No disrespect to any of them, but it's just poor planning.
Yeah, but I think overall the player base and everyone I've talked to at LM are really nice people. Like personally, they're all really, really good people. I just think there's probably been some planning mistake where they've been late and they didn't have full resources, so they couldn't proceed in the Dragon Zone, which was kind of a bummer because we were really hyped for like Zone 4 fight. But overall, I think all the alliance, like everyone in this season, basically are really good people. I really enjoy talking to all of them.
They're all nice, good people. So
Completely fine. And what about the VP? What's your opinion there? Weak, strong side?
great people.
I think VP are really good people, yeah. I think they obviously had the issue that they got 2v1 in their zone, like they were in the middle of the sandwich from both sides with KPT and LM from both sides being allied. So they didn't really have a way out of their zone won really for most of the time. Until we opened up the way for them. So there was not really much they could do. They could just form up at some point and try to push, but LM and KPT were so much stronger than them that they couldn't leave the gate most of the time. So that's not like at some point you're just it's so much weaker than your opponent just that there's nothing much you can do. But when they did push, they had like pretty good activity and they destroyed the tower or two at times. But then they just can't keep it up against a like stronger force on the other side of the gate.
And maybe the last question is going to be for the guild, since there was your main opponent. What was the vision there?
I personally think Geos has really strong players individually. Just the issue, which is also like that's something that I personally also believe in, that merges almost never work out because it's never forms something that is one like united thing. It's always like when you merge, you will always have whatever sides merge together that will never go away. And I also think that is like one of the issues that or like problems that Geos faced, that they were a merge out of 4 different teams, and that like it's a miracle if that works out without any internal like drama problems. So I kind of think because they merged with 4 servers together, they had some issues, some problems in that regard. But overall, they have like really active and really dedicated players who put in a lot of work on the field. I mean, look at Circumference; that guy is fucking crazy. But overall, the alliance I think has really good players personally, but they have just issues because they are from different groups together.
Yeah, totally normal. 4 different leadership, everybody with ideas. And
Yeah, there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
finally, I'm going to ask, what is the AC future plans? What do you plan, guys?
I mean, for us, it's always kind of the same. Our like main like big goal in this game is always to make the game fun for as many people as we can, and trying to get as much fun out of every single season that we can. This is also why we don't pick allies, so we don't get a lopsided season, which kind of only half worked out this season, but whatever. We're just gonna try to proceed with this mindset and trying to make the game fun and enjoyable for everyone. I think that's like kind of our main goal.
Thank you for spending the time. I really appreciate that, since I have big struggles getting leaders back in the days. Maybe this is the main reason I quit doing some interviews. Just is chasing game and it's so annoying. And I really want to thank you guys that you show up and share your personal opinion. This is for our small community in our division. Soon, yeah, we're going to split and going on the different directions. But yeah, thank you very much that you was part from this very interesting interview, since I always want to pick what is in the head of the leaders, since I'm not part of the leadership. And yeah, what's happening there.
Thank you for inviting us. It was really
Thank
nice.
you, Burgess. Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that.